Hurt those who hurt us. That was the clear message that Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar sent out today. The Defence Minister asserted that any individual or organisation causing pain to India should be paid back in the same coin. But how, when and where should be decided and dictated by India. The minister also said that he was pained by the death of soldiers during the Pathankot attack and felt that history tells us that until those who inflict damage on others experience the same pain, they will not change. His remarks have started quite a stir and a massive debate over whether an eye for an eye approach is perhaps the only or the best answer to stop terror perpetrators.
Anyone who harms you, he understands the same language. How, when and place should be of your choice. But if someone is harming this country, I think that particular individual or that organization, I have purposely used the word individual or organization, should also receive the pain of such activity. Until this pain can be transmitted, he will always enjoy giving pain to us. We are proud of 7 soldiers, but I get pained when my soldiers die. I don't appreciate it. When I said that it is a time we tell our soldiers, it's inevitable that we will lose some lives, and this incident proves that we didn't lose actually except one. We didn't lose people in actual combat. But when our soldiers die, I always tell them that you think of concept of taking life of your enemy or enemy of the country instead of giving your life. Now this aspect is very important. Sacrifice is always respected, absolutely, beyond doubt. But I think what nation needs is neutralize your enemy, and that is what should be the target. In that process, sometimes we do have we have people who lose their life.
This is not the first time that a defence minister has claimed that counter-attack is the real deterrent for any terror attack. It has indeed found resonance within the Bharatiya Janata Party, agreeing that proactive approach is the real answer to India's problems. With video journalist Gopal Chaudhary in New Delhi, Geeta Mohan for NewsX.
Let them talk, it's a waste of time. So they'll have good lunches and dinners and let them have a trip and come back. I think it's a whole waste, it's a total waste to talk to Pakistan, but I'm not opposing it because it's just a bit of a joke.
I agree with that, and I would also like to add that we must have the iron hands in velvet gloves. We must keep on talk about terror, but we must be in a position to give a befitting reply and much more potent and positive and very, very powerful reply so that the inimical forces or these forces who are working against India, they take election.
तो अब पठानकोट एक नया मामला जुड़ा है, तो स्वाभाविक रूप से ये तो हमारे बेसिक तो मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट इंस्टॉलेशंस पे हमला है, हमारे वायुसेना का बेस है वो, और उसके बाद भी अभी तक जो भाषा इस्तेमाल की है पर्रिकर साहब ने या उनके प्रधानमंत्री जी ने, मैं नहीं समझता हूं इससे पाकिस्तान को कोई स्ट्रांग सिग्नल जाएगा। आप बातचीत करते रहिए, मगर जो वो कर रहे हैं हमारी सीमाओं में घुस के, उसके खिलाफ अपना प्रतिकार तो दर्शाना चाहिए।
Well, you should see the statement in the right perspective, what probably he meant, and if you should see the right spirit in that nobody should take us for a ride. It does pain when your soldier dies. Probably that was he meant. It's no longer a weak nation, and people should not take us for a ride.
So Manohar Parrikar talking tough today, asserting in no uncertain terms what his personal opinion is. Remember, he had also made a clarifying remark that these are his personal views, shouldn't be taken as the line taken by the government. However, he's a top minister in the government. He's the defense minister in charge of the forces, and he was speaking to the top brass of the army that included General Dalbir Suhag, the chief of the army as well. Joining us right now is RP Singh, National Secretary of the BJP, Suhasini Haidar, Strategic Affairs Editor of The Hindu, as well as Brajesh Kalapa, National Spokesperson of the Congress Party. Thank you all for joining us. Suhasini, I'd like to start with you. Even though he made that distinction very clear that these are his personal opinions and it should not be taken as a government line, he was speaking to the top army brass, and he's not the first person to advocate such a line. What are we to understand then? Because after Ajit Doval also made similar noises, I'm not saying the same noises, he said talks are not sacrosanct. Are we seeing a possible perhaps recalibration as far as just talks are concerned, or is this primarily because he was speaking to an army audience?
Well, certainly I think if you put those two remarks together, it sounds like there is a toughening of the government's position vis-a-vis talks with Pakistan, particularly the Foreign Secretary talks expected to be held later this week. However, whether it's a definitive line or whether they're simply expressing enough tough position so as to get some kind of reaction from Pakistan, get some kind of action from Pakistan, that remains to be seen. I agree with you that when the defense minister speaks, and he's speaking quite clearly when he says, I'm very deliberately mentioning individuals and organizations who have caused us pain, I don't think he's speaking on his own behalf. The fact is he's the defense minister of the country, and all remarks he makes will be seen in that prism.
Mr. RP Singh, you heard what Suhasini had to say, and she does agree partly with my analysis. We saw BJP spokespersons, some of them at least, trying to say that this remark has to be taken in the right context, but the context is very clear. Even Ajit Doval today said talks are not sacrosanct. We are seeing some sort of a toughening of the line. We are already in touch with Interpol for black corner notices for the slain terrorists as well. There are others in the government, sir, and in your party that have time and again said that unless we raise costs for perpetrators who are inside Pakistan, whether they be military establishment or otherwise, there is no other way of dealing with terror emanating from Pakistan. Is that something the government really has come to terms with right now? Is there a thought process in the government which perhaps is working on the fact that we have to raise costs for people perpetrating terror from Pakistan? Is there a toughening of the line? Can you confirm that?
Arthur, probably you missed on the briefing of the MEA, Mr. Vikas Swarup, when he briefed on behalf of the MEA. It was categorical that actionable intelligence has been given, prompt decisive action is expected, and ball is in their court. Probably that line was quite clear. Now whatever is being said thereafter is extension of that line. And the government line is clear from those three words phrases which I have used on the brief of Mr. Vikas Swarup.
No, but sir, you're saying that Vikas Swarup's press conference gave us all the lines we wanted. The fact is the defense minister is saying that not just he, but many others in the government ostensibly feel that there has to be some sort of action, if not against the state there, but at least terror camps and people who perpetrate terror from inside Pakistan. Are you saying, sir, that's not an option that India can even look at right now?
Okay, let me say it categorically. All options are open, but not on a TV channel, not on a TV debate. The government will decide, the concerned people will decide, but all options are open.
All right, all options are open. Brajesh Kalapa, defense minister, talking tough today, and it is quite clear really that he's not the only one. If you look at comments coming in, I mean, I'm not just talking about comments coming on a television debate like this one, but there have been comments from the government representatives, party leaders, very clearly saying that an eye for an eye perhaps is the best policy. My question to you is it? Is it the only way to stop terror emanating from Pakistan?
I don't know if an eye for an eye is the right attitude to have, but I think the government will have to decide, and it's really the prerogative of the government in what manner they're going to calibrate their response. But this tough talking is something which I'm not definitely impressed by, because even prior to the elections, Mr. Modi did a lot of tough talking. The Defence Minister, Mr. Parrikar, has regularly been doing tough talking, and even today he's done some tough talking. But it's not as if you can shoot 1,000 words at Pakistan and get them to comply. And this is what the Modi government seems to think that will work on Pakistan. You must remember that there have been about 950 ceasefire violations in the past. After Mr. Modi assumed office, about 50 uniformed personnel have been killed so far, and several civilians have been killed, nearly 35 of them. So today, after Pathankot, it's not enough that the defense minister suddenly realizes that he has a little bit of bravado in him and he's going to use some tough words. What about what has happened in the last 19 months? Has he given a fitting answer to that? Has Pakistan received some taste of what India can actually provide? And without having done any of that, today to use these words of bravado are really an exercise in nothingness. But anyway, we don't want to come in the way of the government, and we'd fully support the government if it took any tough stand and if it's able to push the matter any further to see that Pakistan learns its lesson.
Okay, RSN Singh joining the debate right now on the phone line. He's an intelligence expert. Mr. Singh, I'm just going to quote two lines from the minister's speech today. He said, I'm of the opinion it should not be taken as government's way of thinking. I believe that if anyone harms you, he will understand the same language. He goes on to say, however, when and where should be the choice of the country. If someone is harming the country, then that particular individual or organization, I purposely use the words individual and organization, should also receive the pain of such activities, unquote. Is that important, sir? He's making sure that he mentions individuals or organizations, and he is, after all, the defense minister of the country. The Raksha Mantri talking to the army there. I mean, what are we to assume? That indeed India is looking at those options and it's not a secret anymore.
Mr. Parrikar is not new to politics, nor he lacks in thinking and brains. He has been chief minister of a state. He is fully conscious of the fact that the words that he speaks, what weight it carries. And he is not a hired politician. We have had too many hired ministers earlier, where actually, if you ask me, it was a subversion of constitution. So their words carried no meaning at all. But we have come to a pass where the credibility of the institution of the Prime Minister of Pakistan is in question. Now, if he doesn't act in a given time, then how can you talk to a country whose Prime Minister's credibility is zero? And whatever may be the dynamics, so we have a government, we have an elected government. We don't have a hired Prime Minister, nor we have a
No, but I understand what you're saying. My question is slightly different, sir. If the Raksha Mantri is saying that it's his personal opinion and he keeps telling people, as according to his speech, that every time such an attack happens, the only way we can keep casualties and terror attacks down if we pay back the perpetrators in the same coin. First of all, I know there are people who back this completely. I know you do as well, sir. So can you safely say today then that finally the Indian government, perhaps, if not acting on it, is considering these options very seriously?
No, it was always there. This was always the public opinion prevailing. But remember, there are, this superintendent of police that you saw in Punjab. There are many of his ilk in the Indian politics as well. And these are the people. Why I see no reason why Hurriyat and people who go to Pakistan and say that you must dislodge so and so government, why aren't they being flogged in some Tihar?
You're not answering my question, sir. You're going to the Hurriyat. I'm talking about what the Raksha Mantri has said today. Let me just go back to the BJP spokesperson for a bit before I come back to you, Mr. Singh.
You get me. You ask me again. I'm giving you an answer.
Okay.
Hello. You ask me again, what is your specific question? I'll give you a specific answer.
Well, I will ask you a question, but first I want to get in Mr. Singh, the other Mr. Singh on the panel. RP Singh, you said the line is very clear. We also understand, going by the statements of not just the Raksha Mantri today, Ajit Doval today very clearly said that talks or the timing of the talks is not sacrosanct. We are waiting for Pakistan to act in a concrete manner, and talks can be deferred, postponed, what have you. But in the past as well, Mr. R.P. Singh, tough talk is one thing, but there has been this overarching view that unless costs are raised for people inside Pakistan and the establishment there, terror attacks will continue. Right now as we speak, sir, in Hazratbal, Srinagar, there's a fierce encounter going on between security forces and two militants who are holed up right now. So nothing has really changed. So is this new currency gaining ground? The fact that an eye for an eye, inflict more pain, raise the costs, is this gaining ground within the government or not? Be honest today.
See, let me put it like this again. I'm again saying we are not holding anything. I mean, there's nothing which, all options are open. Right from talks to what you are saying. But it can't be decided here on this channel. And let me also tell Mr. Kalappa, 30 intrusions happened in your period. 900 casualties, 900 people sacrificed their life. So it's not make it like one versus other. The fact is, the first time Pakistan is saying, has condemned it. They are saying we'll take action against all those. I've been told they are forming some joint investigation team there to investigate the matter. So let's wait. I mean, I've been telling you just wait and probably when I told you this was not there. You remember on your show I said let's wait, and then at that time Pakistan not condemned it. Neither they have said they will find the will form the joint investigation team. So let's wait, and then probably this time it will be different.
Okay, very quickly, Mr. Kalappa, answer that. Before I go across to Suhasini, I have a specific question for Suhasini, but Mr. Kalappa, first, your argument.
I'm astounded by Mr. Singh's response, because he says that during your regime so many people died, and during our regime so less people died. Therefore, it's all fine.
I never said so, because you were saying, no, Mr. Kalappa, please don't do that.
In 2611, is the BJP not responsible? Is the BJP not responsible for what happened in on 2611?
We are responsible for Salman Khurshid and Manish Shankar Iyer also, who went kneeling down in front of Nawaz Sharif. If you say so, we are responsible for Sonia Gandhi also,
that Zakir Rahman Lakhvi is brought to book. If Zakir Rahman Lakhvi had been brought here, had been brought to the shores of India, had been given justice in India, then I would have said very well, then carry on with talks, without having done a single step on that. And today they are saying that no, just a few people have died. I'm astounded by the words of Mr.
And we have been categorically stating terrorism talk won't happen. It's not like your regime when Prime Minister won't utter a word.
Mr. Kalappa and Mr. Singh, if you talk at each other, nobody is going to understand what you're saying.
I don't want to go to America.
Mr. Kalappa,
now after having said all that.
Mr. Kalappa, Mr. Singh, please, gentlemen, please, if you talk at each other, it's not going to work. I must, no, 1 second, please. I have to intervene now. Mr. Singh, please.
We understand the problem of Balochistan.
Mr. Singh, Mr. Kalappa, if you talk at each other, the entire purpose of this debate is lost. I have about 2-3 minutes left. Suhasini, I have a two-parter for you. Part A is, if India at all, and this is a largely hypothetical, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If India at all is considering an option of perhaps a covert strike or a limited overt strike, whatever that might be, even if it is considering the option, how important is going to be getting our allies on board? By allies, I mean getting US to sign off on it, taking China along and saying that, look, whatever comes out of this, you handle Pakistan. That's one. Number two is there a feeling that there are two distinct individual opinions perhaps within the government itself about how to move forward as far as inflicting costs on Pakistan is concerned, or sticking to the talks route?
Your second question is very easy to answer, Athar. The truth is, it doesn't matter. This is a government that has shown that the decision of Prime Minister Modi is what will eventually prevail. And that has been the case for the last 14 months. So I have no doubt that even if people think that there should be a different line on Pakistan, eventually what the government does is what Prime Minister Modi decides they should do. So far he has spoken of not even terrorists. He's really spoken of enemies of peace. He has not named Pakistan directly. He has not shown any of the impatience of his cabinet colleagues perhaps. So I do think that that is the line that one should watch for and not wait for it. Your comment about strikes is really very hypothetical, Athar. So I'm hesitant to answer it, except for to say that the time for strikes perhaps was in the heat of the moment, when India was first attacked, when it seemed clear that these terrorists had come across the border. Their intention was to take over one of India's most important, prestigious forward bases and carry out what, by any stretch of imagination, is an act of war. Attacking our base, attacking our soldiers in our base, killing so many people. But I do think that that heat of the moment has passed. And all that has happened since then in terms of India and Pakistan speaking to each other, the NSA is talking together, the Prime Minister is talking together, seems to indicate that India is still expectant of some kind of cooperation from Pakistan. And we've seen comments from Pakistan to the same effect. I think if there are people inside Pakistan who perhaps your guests want to reach out to, they have to start by stopping what we just saw, this completely political polarization over how we should go ahead with our talks with Pakistan or our relationship with Pakistan, because that is essentially what I think most of India's, most people who are not friendly to India's interests would like to see. This kind of constant one-upmanship. I heard one side saying that this is the first time we're seeing this action from Pakistan. It's not the first time.
Absolutely.
Pakistan has taken a lot of action over many years. It might not have reached anywhere. And I think that's what the government has to stick to. It can't just say, okay, you show us action on Pathankot and everything else is forgiven. You have to show a consistent line with Pakistan as with any other country.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Suhasini Haidar, Brajesh Kallappa, RP Singh and RSN Singh. I'm completely out of time. Short break right now. Much more up ahead. Stay tuned to NewsX.
Hurt those who hurt us.
Those who damage you, if they don't realize what pain they inflict, then they don't change.
Paying monthly